Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live here on United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM in New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee. Thank you, Folgers. We appreciate you in so many ways. Also, big thank you to Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found anywhere that's exciting. Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, you name it, it's there. Also, sponsorship, voice and music, intro, outro. Thank you. You completely rock, and we appreciate you so much. So tonight we are having a roundtable discussion. So those of you in the chat room will be choosing the topics, asking the questions. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We do apologize, but our scheduled guest, Nick Redfern, has to be rescheduled as he is experiencing a power outage in Dallas due to cold and inclement weather. So we send out our hopes and prayers to him that he gets back on track soon. And
warmth.
And warm. That's especially
There's no heat. They're not used to that cold.
So please find us on tonight. We have 8 chat rooms. They will all come right here to the soundboard. We are on Facebook, News on the Flip Side, Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover, Kansas Most Haunted, we, Outer Realm with us, and get on to UFO Paranormal Radio, get over to YouTube International Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio, and join in the fun because the show is for you guys. And as usual, we always have one heck of a good time. So we'll see where this all goes. But I want to start off by basically sending our prayers and well wishes to the people over in the Ukraine. It's just a horrific thing that they are going through. Nobody should have to go through something like that in this day and age, people.
Oh, it's crazy.
Seriously, fuck.
Yeah. It's okay. If you want to hear even more about that opinion, check out Michael Moore's comment to Putin. He addresses him in his post on Facebook. Don't do it right now.
No, you're gonna be seeing right here, right now. Might F-bomb again. I'm so annoyed.
It's okay.
I'm medicated.
We have a good delay on that. Michelle's never sick, so this is funny. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know, Adriana, right?
Yeah. So it's really
hi, Corinne.
It's really not cool. Yeah, we've got Wayne who he gets he gets the prize tonight. He was the first one in there. So, Michelle with the F-bomb. Yes,
you
Adriana,
are medicated.
Thank you for pointing that out again. Oh my gosh.
Nick's on all the time, Tamara. He's always, you can go into our archives and
we are going to bring him on.
He's on every few months. Every time he has a new book, he's here. So,
but we are, we're booking into May. So you guys are going to have to be patient, you know.
But if you haven't heard him on here, you can go to the archive on SoundCloud. He's got many.
Yes, absolutely. So he's it would have been right in tune with what was going on yesterday on last night's show, but he's, obviously he can't help it. He's got no power. Could have stuck him in a cafe somewhere. Kids can't say would have had the same.
He was getting sporadic as well in the cafe because he was texting me.
Yeah.
He had to charge his phone at a coffee shop and he was texting me from there. He said, I'm like literally coming back and forth. I'll check with you in a couple of hours, but just take care of yourself, so hard. Yeah, he's a good friend, so he'll be on again.
He will. He will, for sure.
He's a sweetheart, very professional. So he feels like he let us down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have no control over this.
I know.
So
it's
yeah,
true.
he's super sweet. Super
It's
sweet
true.
man.
It's true.
Yeah.
So he is coming back on. And in the meantime, if anybody experiences any technical issues on Facebook, can you please let us know?
Yes.
Because when we were on like I think through 4 different pages here, and it's a little bit of an issue because we've had other shows on the network really having some issues with this right now. So just let us know. We have to try to get to the bottom of what the hey is going on. See, no F-bomb. Hey is going on. It could happen.
What
I'm
is in that
medicated.
cough
Anything
drop?
can happen
I want
tonight.
some. Oh my god.
Just saying.
I'm not used to her laughing this much.
Wait for it. It's going to get better.
Oh
Oh my gosh. But anyway, yes. So basically, prayers, everything, love and light.
Oh my
going off to
gosh,
the folks of Ukraine.
absolutely. Just seeing all those videos and hearing the war sirens,
Mhm.
it's just so disheartening. Like you said, in a day, like our day-to-day
day
present
to day.
time, for
Oh
this
my
to be
gosh.
happening over something so ridiculous that he can't even prove. And that's all I'm saying. You know.
That's all I'm going to say, and I'm whispering.
Well, our deputy prime minister is from the Ukraine, and she was she's banned from Russia or the Ukraine because she spoke ill of Putin or something. I'm like, what?
The last
And
time
this
that
guy's
happened,
got a lot more power than he deserves.
Him was in Australia, and he had warships on the coast of Australia within a week. He doesn't take kindly to it. He's not a team player.
Yeah. Well,
So,
he just seems so chill without his shirt on and on his horse. I don't
I
understand
know.
why he's so upset right now.
I know.
But
Those
anyways,
are pretty chilly, nice pictures.
Wars apparently are started by, worse men than him. So I just pray to God this ends quickly and it's just it's devastating because
it is.
We all have people in our family or have friends who are from the Ukraine, and it's really sad.
But on a good note, we have another Q&A. Yes! We always do really well with Q&As and roundtable, and
it's fun.
And we also we'll cover a whole lot of things, So on Monday night, of course, I had I call them friends, of course, because we're friends, we're family, we're teammates, and I haven't seen them in a while, which Adriana and Melissa, they're my travel compadres when we were in Romania. So those of you who caught the shows, you would have seen Adriana on with me on Haunted Case Files. You would have seen Melissa on Hotel Paranormal, where we talked about our experience in the haunted forest. And they decide, okay, we're going to come over, we're going to get together, because like restrictions are all, much better now. So we're like, okay, let's just do this. And we decide to have a box session. And I mean that like a portal session. It's a bit different than the ghost box. But anyway, so we decide we're going to do this, and holy crap, a whole lot of stuff came out of there. So we were all kind of like, what was that?
Considering it's been a mess for a long time, I think there was some magic in Melissa and Adriana being there.
Yes. And maybe it was the whole February 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
Because it was a big shift.
Crazy Kismic.
Because you've been around and you know how loud that thing gets. And it was completely silent except for words.
That would creep me out. Okay, I can't hear you. Oh, you muted yourself to take yet another Quaalude. I mean, a cough drop.
Quaalude? It is a throat lozenge.
Yes.
See, there it is. This little thingy right
That's
here.
what my brother used to say.
It's really loud. So I'm just like, I know. I like to think you were the lucky
I think you are. I think you are, Adriana, because it's been crazy. No response for a long time. Hi, Zach.
Zach, man, I'm here. Let the party begin. All right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's been beginning. But yeah, you know what? It was a really interesting evening. It takes me back, like, I think to a time where we, like I said, we had done this time slip, we seemed to have communicated with these spirit individuals that came out of, I'm sure was a time slip. We have never been able to recreate it again. And I tend to think, is it the way the planets line up? Is it the way the environment is, or something at that specific moment? You know, like when we hit that time slip, it was like a year later, exact time, exact date, we tried it again. It's not going to be a second time.
No, so, that's not even a once in a lifetime thing. Like, you're just fortunate that you got to experience that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it was incredible, you know, to get coordinates. You know, you think you're listening to some old movie, all of a sudden you realize that people are coming through and saying, oh, wait, there's a man and a woman sitting at the table. We're like, where? Oh, us? Oh, I can go do that. Look,
oh my gosh.
There's a door.
That would have freaked me out.
You're in a plane. Do not go through that door. B-52 coming through the house or something. But it was really fascinating to me. And it gave me that little reminder on Monday night, because I'm not used to hearing this equipment. It's very seldom where it is so quiet. And all you could hear were the words. And it was, I can't give it all away because it hasn't been transcribed as of yet. And, you know, not really sure of the whole picture yet. But I can tell you that it was very fascinating information. And it was validated by something that I got in an email just randomly to an individual that I follow, blogs and things like that. And I was sort of like, oh, and there was reference to this war and sort of deal. And they were apologizing, saying, you know, oh, we're so sorry, like this devastation. We're like, what? But at that time, things were
nothing happened. Yeah.
No. Right. No. So I look at that and I'm like, I don't believe in coincidences.
No.
And it was really fascinating. And you it's so exciting when the validations slowly start making their way. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what the big picture is going to be when all is said and done.
Yeah.
You know,
the transcripts.
And after last night's conversation, it's just like,
oh my gosh. I had so many dreams and nightmares because of him. I said I would, and I knew it, even though I tried to will it away. And I did. We'll talk about that tomorrow, you and I. But I just, some of the stuff that he said was just flashing in my head. And then, you know, like it's triggering memory things. And I'm like, this is really, I don't want to deal with this right now.
But you're the one that's like, and I always giggle when you say to every guest who comes on and talks about extraterrestrials, and Amelia sits there with a straight face going, well, I don't know, because I don't have those things happen to me. We're like,
no.
Yes, you do.
And they're all laughing at me. I'm like seriously, this doesn't happen. I was fine until I watched The Fourth Kind. And still to this day, you've told me this is Hollywood. Many experts have said this is Hollywood, Amelia. This isn't real. And I swear to you, it scares the bejesus out of me. And I don't even, because you do hear of, you know, experiences going through things like that. I mean, they ripped her child through the roof. Right in front of her.
Ryan was talking about on the show last night how he himself had gone through the roof, through walls.
He had an injury on his head. Remember? He said, I ended up with my head and neck injury from that. And I'm like, no.
So how did the rest of him get through?
No. Yeah.
They bunk you around? I don't know.
Hell to the no. No.
But you don't know.
I don't know. It's hard because when you don't remember anything, a lot of experiences have vivid, you know, memories and details. And I don't have any of that. And I know people say to me, oh, but they can erase your memory. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I'm seeing these flashes because we're having the conversation and my mind's doing this because of the fear, or if it's real. So I know it's crazy because I talk to dead people and explaining that to people is hard. So what did he say? What did I tell you? Don't watch it alone and at night. And what does Amelia go and do? I watched Fourth Kind a few times. I can tell you when I read your book, I don't have nightmares. I have good dreams.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to ask ourselves too, when I listened to, I mean, and I know the show is a work of fiction. It was a little bit like Paranormal Activity. You know, people would email me, "Is this real? Is this real?" No,
I thought you were referring to the movies because those were bad.
The movies, yeah. I mean, but the first one was probably the most compelling. After that, they got very silly, and people looked at that and said, "Is this real?" And I said, "No, but it's based on the different levels of oppression and attachment and full-blown possession. It actually had 2 endings as to how some possessions are said to end. You know, suicide, or you take the life of another, that sort of thing. There were 2 endings.
Yeah.
But when you listen, you're looking at The Fourth Kind, the recordings that they used in the film
were real.
I have recordings like that.
But they were hers. A lot of them, the voices were hers. The film, no. That's what it says on the movie.
Is it?
Yeah, the voice recordings of Dr. blah, blah, blah.
Those
but
were hers
but the
actual,
and it'll go back and forth and show you the real person and the actor.
Yes. And but I heard too that wasn't a thing. So I don't know.
See, that's the hard one.
But if you're looking at the recordings for, you know, I have recordings that sound like that. So I have to think to myself, are we dealing with what we deem as, you know, demonic, or
alien,
are they actually, are they ET? Because you know what? That makes them pretty freaking compelling to think that, you know, a lot of people think, no, these are demons. Really, they're extraterrestrials. If anybody would have told me a tall white hissed and growled, I'd have been like, shut up. No way.
No, I know. This is, yes, Tamara, the one in Alaska. Sorry, I'm laughing because Zach said that, sorry, Blair Witch Project was way scarier than Paranormal Activity. I was
wasn't scary at all. Yeah,
my head off through both films.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
It wasn't scary at all. But I think what they tried to do is go through the process of invitation, Ouija board, infestation, little things going around, oppression, how people are starting to feel oppressed in the house.
The first one was good.
It went through the different stages, which I thought was done very clever in that way. But yes, Tamara.
Yeah, the recordings
were creepy. But can I tell you, I have like hundreds of hours of recordings, and a good chunk of them sound like that.
She's talking about
the Fourth Kind.
The Fourth Kind. Yeah, they're creepy to listen to, but they are very common.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember the first time I heard them, I didn't know you yet. Mm-hmm. I hadn't met you, so I hadn't heard any of those recordings till after I visited. And let me tell you, Michelle had to drive me home a few times. But anyways, it's a good thing. But
I've heard scarier since, though. Let me tell you.
I know.
I have to play you not while I'm in the house, because sound does bleed through. Yeah. So unless it's done with, like, this is why I'm saying when you get certain recordings, you have to put them through earbuds, because you don't want the sound to bleed out into the environment.
It's energy.
Because this one person we were assisting sent over this recording, and it was a growl like, I mean, I've heard some pretty dang impressive growls, and I have to say, this thing, it sounded like it was big and old and deep, and I mean, it doesn't take a lot to put, you know, my hair up. But oh boy, I went, okay. So that's not a demonic. I would hate to see which ET it belonged to.
You know, I love him, but I don't agree with that perception because of the way I see things. So I don't, but I think it's highly possible, of course. Mm-hmm. You know, he's not the first one to say that, but the growling and hissing threw me because of the way I see things differently.
Well, yeah, of course, right? So
yeah, it's just a little bit different for me, but I don't. I'm very. I respect him very much. I love listening to him. He's so amazing, and I learned so much when he's on. I really love Ryan, and I'm looking forward to learning more. You don't always have to agree with things, and I think a lot of that's because of my religious upbringing. Is probably what.
That's what we spoke about. The mindset. It's easy for people to believe. I mean, a lot of people believe in angels and demons, and because it is instilled into us from very, very early on. It's
Mhm.
what you're taught. It's what you're conditioned to believe. You know, if we were conditioned to believe in ET from the time we were very little, I think it would be easier to accept the fact that they're out there and they're responsible for so much. To a ufologist, for example, it's like no. Or people who've had major ET experiences, they're going to look at angels and demons and go, no, it's this type of an extraterrestrial or this type of an extraterrestrial. Where you
Yeah.
have your hardcore religious factions who don't believe in so much in extraterrestrial. Some do, you know, just in a
That's
different
true.
way. And then you have your diehards who are like, no, everything is an angel or a demon. There are no such thing as ghosts. They mimic everything,
Mhm.
you know. So I have a respect for everybody's opinion.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it's really difficult because we are all still learning, and there's so much information out there that we're never going to know it all. But it's very hard to discount some because I've had experiences with both. I mean, coming from an attachment myself, being younger, but I also know there was ET experiences. So were
Mhm.
they one of the same?
I know that's hard. It's a tough one. Like I said,
Mm,
I don't not believe it. I just have a hard time um accepting it because of, like I said, my
your
upbringing,
upbringing, right?
my experiences.
Right.
I the demonic experiences that I've had, that I've allowed myself to remember, some of them, some I'm sure I don't,
Mm-hmm.
were always so dark and not what I would think ET
Mm-hmm.
to be. But then again, like I said, I've never had an ET experience, so I don't know what that
Mm-hmm.
looks like.
Right.
It's just different. I don't that I remember. I'll just say
Okay. Well,
that.
yeah.
But
What word is
after
that?
last
I don't
night's
know.
dreams, I'm lost. I'm confused.
Oh, there you go.
But
Okay. Zach man. There you go, Bubbles.
oh, there we go. I never put myself in one camp. There are demons, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, man-made aliens, etc. The paranormal is a broad spectrum for me to narrow myself into one camp. I'm with
I
you,
agree.
Zach. That's
Yeah, I
how
agree.
I feel. I feel like there's demons, there's, like you said, interdimensional
Dimensional. Mm-hmm.
beings, and we have the ETs and we have the different races of ETs, because he also brings down to two where we've had discussions with other people where they've said there's many races, and
Mm-hmm.
we've had former CIA tell us that as well.
Mm-hmm. That's
I think
right.
it's
Daryl
based on
Sims.
their experiences, on
Yeah.
what his experience was with the tall whites, and he maybe perhaps only sees that and isn't privy or eyes open to other things, where Daryl Sims talks about how many races there were, so many, and anyone
Mm-hmm.
from MUFON, you'll get the same kind of thing. Joe's talked about different
Mm-hmm.
races as well, so it's kind of hard because you have contactees telling their stories and they're giving you the information to validate these races, and it's like, is it real, or is it a vision they're giving to make themselves look like there's more than what there is, maybe? So
That's
it's hard.
the ticket, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's real, what's not? Are they implanted memories? Um, we can get into a
Exactly.
really big, broad spectrum here.
Yeah.
We can get into the fact, like some people will say, well, home invaders. Yes, they are,
Yeah.
Tamara.
All
Home
uninvited home
invaders.
invaders. I'm with you too, Tamara. I'm with
I
you on
mean, if
that
they're
one
all
as well.
well, some of them would be uninvited, but I mean, I don't have
I
issues with
don't have an
ET per
issue with
se
ascended spirits. I
or
noticed,
ET.
Michelle,
I'm
and I
good with
answered that
ET.
differently.
I know.
I don't have issues with ascended spirits.
Or
I'm very
ETs.
comfortable with speaking to them, even if I
Right.
can't see them. But I can tell you, growls in my ear 6 inches away from my head did happen just after starting work with Michelle. One of the many gifts of this time of work.
You're welcome.
And yes, thank you. I never did thank you for that. And I'm with Amelia. Thank you, Melissa.
Mel too.
Yeah. It's just part of the
God.
course when you're doing that work, but that there's different types of sounds, and if that came from an ET, I'd probably poop my pants.
Ooh, that's harsh.
An ET coming out with that, like, I don't ever feel like they're threatening, except in the fourth kind. But
But you don't
like,
technically see them in the fourth kind either.
no. It's all about the owls. It's all about the big
owls.
eyes.
Yeah.
It's all about the owls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But those are lenses, technically, like
yes.
for ET, right?
Because of sensitive eyes.
I think there's a lot of possibilities to think that there are a lot of people there because, Preston Dennett comes onto the show. I mean, he's wonderful. He's returning. He posts a lot of really positive stories about people having good stories with extraterrestrials.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's so many scary ones out there. It always comes out to the probing.
I know.
If we are, if we are guinea pigs, if we're in a matrix that they control, with that whole zoo mentality, a lot of them think that, there are people who think that we are a zoo and this is where all the cryptids come from. And we're all one big melee of a planet that are kept, in check the same way that we cage animals. I mean, you take your pet to the vet, they check they'll stick a temperature up the wazoo and that's it there, so I mean they're looking at probing. It's like, oh, it's horrific. Well, sure it is, but we do it to our own pets. You do it to your child to get a proper temperature.
Not up the butt. We sometimes have those Zoom things from a meter now. You can just shoot at their heads.
With technology, it wasn't always like that.
I had the ear thing for her. I never stuck anything up her butt.
I know, but sometimes you go to the hospitals and they do, or they have, depending on,
Yeah.
So
no, it is the most accurate core temperature.
Yeah. So I don't know, but there's a lot of different theories. You can't discount, for example, a mantis. People think, oh my gosh, mantis, like, Joe has given us some of his theories with it. Are they projections? Are they suits? Are they,
That's another thing. Yeah.
I know people, or have read accounts, and I think I've met one or two who have actually had encounters with them. It doesn't feel like a suit. It doesn't feel like a projection. It is freaking full on right there. And one was pretty horrific. So how do you discount that? Are people having experiences with reptilians or draconians to say, well, is it all a projection of what one specific race may want you to see? I don't know that. Are they actually shape-shifting, or are they just projecting what they want you to see them as?
Yeah. I loved the film that you told me to watch, and I had watched it once and I thought, ugh. And then after talking and you teaching me a lot about ufology and aliens, I watched it with a different perspective, a different mindset, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't remember. Is that the one where she goes up into the spaceship?
Wasn't it a fantastic film? Highly recommended.
It was finally something positive because nothing negative came out of that. They came, they communicated, they moved on. And that's probably closer to real life than anything, because you can't sell a movie unless you instill fear. They sell a lot better. Horror films are known to. Sci-fi horror is known to sell more tickets. So, but that one was amazing.
That's television. I think if people actually filmed things as they really happened, they would find it just as interesting. So I said, like, when I can only use myself as an example because I was there. I can't say for anybody else. But all the filming I've done, I've enjoyed the experiences. They're great experiences. But at the end of the day, there's only one word they wanted to hear. No matter how many answers I could give you of what could cause certain scenarios, everybody wants the demon word. So everything else goes on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, because nobody wants to watch a paranormal show where nothing happens.
Psychokinesis.
Yeah.
There's
never goes in either.
Telekinesis.
That stuff never gets on there. Not unless the poltergeists get on there. Poltergeists are really scary.
They can be scarier than any alleged D word.
I don't think I've ever seen, not in the last 5 years, an episode of, mind you, I don't watch a lot of paranormal shows, which is, I shouldn't say that, but I don't, because it's like work, right? So it's a little bit different. If you're a chef, you're not going to watch the Food Channel, right? Like I watch some because they're people I know that are in them. And that's why I watch them when you have friends that are on the show.
Right.
Never watched the one I was in, just saying, but I heard it was really good and it was done really well. I think I watched the episode with you and Jack only, but I don't think anyone's tackled Poltergeist in a long time. And I think it needs to be done, especially right now.
Well, it has its connections to the religious side of things, and it has its connection to the ET side of things. But, I mean, whatever it is, like I can sit there and because both Mel and Audie are in chat. For example, when we went to the Haunted Forest, it was an unbelievable equipment or experience. It did not need any sort of embellishing, for example.
Yeah.
The events that occurred happened in front of 4 people. So we all saw this, including the skeptical guy. He just kind of went, Jesus, when he looks at it and you're like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now we know something's going on.
Yeah.
But when you think about it now, whatever was there, I mean, these girls came home from Romania to here to Canada, and that thing still had a reach. When
there's
you
no
look at it now,
boundaries.
we figure it was under no-fly zone. So that tells me portal, Stargate, something. It felt like they embellished on TV. Yeah, they did, Audie. They did embellish.
They always do, though.
They always do, and it
but
didn't.
You're right. It didn't need it. That's horrifying enough as it is.
It was. I mean, we were followed out of that forest. We could hear crunching in the leaves behind us. We could feel a presence behind us. We got back to the hotel. It was just like we were like 2 different floors. Yeah, see, Mel's like, we had visit for years. See?
Yeah.
It's just
and it could be dormant and come back. That's enough fear. People
eyes
don't realize
following
how
us
fearful
out.
it is when it happens to you.
There you go. The red eyes following us out.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. There was a tree line starting to move down, like something. It looked like something was like coming over it. It was a hot July night. There was no wind. Nothing. I love that people would say, "Oh, you're going on a super or on a full moon, a super moon. Are you going because you want extra activity?" No, we're going so we can see our freaking way out.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be able to have a light. Yeah.
Oh God, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Lots of stuff happened at home, including tapping into phone calls between me and Mel. Nasty sounds. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I heard about those.
It went from what occurred in the forest to what occurred in both hotel rooms. A state-of-the-art hotel that the only way you can activate the power in the room is to take a card and slip it into a slot in the door, and all the lights came on. Otherwise, there was no power to the room.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
The phone ringing, and we're just looking at it. You pick it up. There's nobody there. This is at the hotel,
like
which
was
several kilometers away. From the mountain. And then all the way to the other side of the world. I have to say, I had no issues with things. Sorry, guys, but I had no issues.
No, Michelle finds peace in that kind of noise, but
it was not an issue.
The rest of us, hi, Linda, my BFF is there.
Baby talking Linda now.
I do when I send her those emojis. She just doesn't know it. I'm like, Adriana says we had a visitor in the corner up on the ceiling all night. Ugh.
Yes, because somebody got saucy in the
I could see how that happens, though.
I know.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. They have a way of. They're not bound by time, by space. They could take all the time that they want. I guess it comes down to the question of if E.T. I was asking for it.
No, it was asking for it.
It was asking.
I don't know. Jenny, you might want to relive that in your mind. I heard it was really bad.
It got to me.
I could understand that. That's what it's trying to do, and they're really good at it. I would have reacted as well. I understand that. I would have to work really hard not to. I do that with people, so I can imagine with something like that.
not everything will act up for everybody. You can go
No.
to a haunted location, have zero experiences. Other people can go. I think it's not just because you're open. There's obviously something about you that they feel that, we want to communicate with you. We want to see things. Things are pretty much under a pretty good degree of control up until a certain point. We checked all the 6 entrances in, and, Adi, do you remember when you were in that one corner, the one I told you to wait for last? And she says, it feels very heavy in my chest right now. Melissa and I were standing there, and behind her, there's this tree going down, and you can hear it. I'm not talking about a big, crazy tree. I'm talking about, a tree.
Yeah.
But you can still hear it kind of creaking a little bit as it was being pushed downward, and then it smacked up. Yeah, that's right. You couldn't breathe.
No, that's
So,
crazy.
And what about the guy with the cart?
Why would
You
they
guys
have to
remember the guy
embellish
with
that?
the cart, the gypsy guy going through the
Oh.
cart at the top of the mountain? We just wanted to go out and just like poke him. And then we look back, and then he was completely gone. But yeah, we could hear you in the recording. Yeah.
That does not need embellishing, that's for sure. And Melissa's saying, me, Michelle, do you see the shadow person standing over there? Over AD. Oh my God.
No. No, it was an amazing experience. It's not one that needed over embellishing by
that's
any
scary.
means. It's one that just continued on. And the fact, the story alone that people, we found out, don't just go television shows filming in there. A lot of times they had no problem, Adi. We let her know. We just watched.
That's okay. Adriana, you have that for life against them.
Yeah, she took one for the team on that one. That's for sure. Right. But we the story, the fact that this went on through, it just spanned. I mean, it spanned months and years. You don't need to embellish something like that. It changes you. An experience like that changes you. So many people is like, oh, I'd love to go to the haunted forest. Even people to that point, it was the people at the university who was doing all the filming for a lot of these shows that you saw, because it really can be a very frightening place. This thing started acting up almost immediately, like 3:00 in the afternoon. It's not like...
Did you guys ever figure out or understand why you were followed, or what was the reason that it chose to attach that way?
Queen of the Dark Realm. I don't know. I'm kidding.
I don't know. I'm wondering,
No, I just think there's something about a person or people that they're curious about, and there we go. They're curious about people. They'll follow. Maybe they felt offended. Maybe they just wanted to know more. Maybe they thought you were an easy mark. There's no real rhyme or reason as to why things attach 100%. Go ahead.
Yes. Adriana wrote 100%. I actually found it tranquil and inviting all day, but feeling like we were being watched. That's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, the whole time we were there, I had a nap. We were just laying there, and we could feel things just circling around you.
Okay, Mel and I are connected. We have been told for years that will do it. Maybe it does have something
and I made
to
it
do.
Mad.
That is the key one.
Maybe I made it mad.
Lie.
Maybe. Yeah,
I'm not going to lie about that. Hi, Cece.
Hi, Cece.
My BFF from BC. Maybe it liked Michelle's perfume. Scent is one of the most powerful triggers for memories. I don't think you've ever worn perfume.
I usually wear oils, things like that. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe just my volatile personality.
Oh my God. She's not volatile unless she's behind a steering wheel. Just saying.
Exactly.
Now I've got backup. I got Adriana and Melissa to agree with me on that one. But you're a good driver.
Just an angry one.
Just an angry one.
No tolerance for
you do not want to cut her off. That's all I'm going to say.
No, not work out in your favor. But
or mine if I'm in the passenger seat. But
I think that experience left a mark on all of it. all of us. We all remember that. No comment, Melissa. Melissa just is bad, apparently. So,
is that why I got a no comment?
See?
I can't
All three
comment.
of
I
us.
rage
Yeah, we don't
inside the
talk
car.
about
Too.
the
So
car.
I'm the only calm one.
Yeah, probably. But here's Tamara.
I always let them in. I'm like, I guess you paid your taxes. You go right ahead.
Exactly. Boop.
Tamara, hi Tamara. Watch what you ask for, because once you see it changes perspective, and you don't get to choose to stop the doors of perspective sometimes all open. That's a really good point.
It's true.
Careful what you wish for.
It's true.
And Zach, I channel my mother when I drive, so I feel like you, Michelle.
My people.
Yeah,
My
no.
people. Thank you.
I left that behind a long time ago, because
Yeah.
I actually got really lucky in a
Right.
really, what would have been a really heavy speeding ticket. And I learned my lesson, because the cop that pulled me over ended up being a friend, but he sent his partner to put me through hell and back. And then he came out and knocked on the window, said, "Hey, doll, how are you?" And I'm like,
Yeah. Thanks.
but
for
I was
nothing.
60
Yes,
kilometers
yes,
over,
yes.
left turn, red light. That is hefty when your license
That's
is
a
new.
bad bubble.
I would have lost
That's a
my
bad
license.
bubbles. Yes.
So I
yes.
changed. And Michelle's very calm when she has her kids in the car. She's not like that. She's just like that on her own.
I say that. I remember my children being very, very young, and what I would call idiots, like stupid idiot on the road. And my 3-year-old at the time goes, "It's a stupid Indian, right, Mom?" Like face palm. No.
Oh.
And I learned at that point, say it in your head. Say
Yeah.
it in your head, because they're way in the back in a minivan. They don't hear what you're actually saying.
I think my
But-
daughter has some kind of trauma from when I first started driving with her, because she is an angry driver. Just saying. Oh, I mean, I'm guessing
hello,
Ouija
welcome
board
back.
is
Yep.
bad. No,
The Ouija board is
it depends who's using it.
addictive.
Yeah, but I think but the whole thing is, we have this conversation all the time, because I don't want Bishop James listening in and thinking that I agree that you should use one. I don't think that you should be communicating with anything, to be honest with you, unless you know what you're communicating with.
But it's not just the board.
No, that's what I mean.
You can do it with
communicating, period.
phone apps. You can do
Yeah.
it with voice recorders. You can do it with pendulums. You can do it with boards, spirit boards, ghost boxes, anything. I think it's intention more than anything, because some people aren't successful with boards at all. I think if you go in with the intention of making contact and connecting with someone, you're inviting that communication. And I think it's the intention of that invitation that gets a lot of people in trouble.
Yeah. And what's on the end of it? Is it someone that you knew and loved and passed, or is it a mimic? What is it? You need to be able to see. I think if you want to have that experience, you should find yourself a medium to do it with, maybe, if that's so important to you. Because when you go to a psychic and get a reading, that's an opening door as well.
It is.
And people don't realize it's not the same, but if you're doing EVPs in your own house and you're using a Ouija board, nothing that is of a high vibration is going to come out of that board. That's what you need to know. Lower vibrational entities use those boards to communicate, because they don't have that kind of strength. Higher vibrations, ascended spirits, your past loved ones, don't need a board. They'll find ways to give you
I've
signs.
seen some very gifted people get into some very big trouble. There we go.
For those of you that aren't watching, I was pointing to myself. Yeah, more than once. And I saw it coming and continued. Anyone can get looped right in. Well, the last one, I'm like, yeah, this is nothing. It's just this word, that word. It's probably caught the TV.
She's
like,
laughing.
are you sure?
I'm just going to do it. I know I shouldn't, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah, I know
Like,
this
see,
is a
we're
bad
talking.
idea, but I really want
did
to
a
try
thing.
out this recording.
I'm like,
So,
what kind of
Michelle,
thing did you do?
Something yesterday. It's never the day of. It's always the day after that I tell her. Why didn't you call me? No, it was like 2:30, 2:45. I just wanted to. I wanted to see if it was working. If there's some, just like there's some truth to that 3 a.m. thing.
Oh,
oh, thank you. Well, I remember my experience with Wayne, and I still scares me.
I'd like to hear all about that experience, actually.
You need to tell us. See if you can write it out into,
Notice how quiet Wayne has gotten on the chat room. Wayne, let's talk about that experience.
Hi, Sherry Berry. Oh, see, and Sherry, highly, highly, highly gifted. Learn the hard way. The ladies are right, and they I've done it too, Sherry. That's the only reason why I know. You learn from experience, and that's how I know. I'm like, you got to be careful. And Tamara says, leave communication to the experts because it's asking in the dark, and you need to know how to close it. I think that's very important. Oh, Wayne popped up. So, mate, which one is he speaking of?
Oh, we know who he's speaking of. You guys and your experience. Yeah. See, that's another thing that we've talked about. The whole expert word is a real media thing again, because that's when, when I did Survivor, our expert. And I would try to say to the producers, there's really no such thing as experts in a field of something that's really not overly explainable. And I've worked with people who are self-proclaimed, and there are people out there who have it a freaking heck of a lot better than I do. They've been at it a whole lot longer. I've got a couple of decades in, and there are people who've got twice that in. You see a heck of a lot more scenarios, but I know enough to keep myself out of trouble and a whole lot of other people as well. But it is a really strong term. And, like I said, I've worked with somebody who now is just like, when I think back, I'm like, oh my God, I am surprised we didn't get our butts handed to us on a more regular basis.
Just being careless. Yeah. But you don't know until you go through it. Mm-hmm. You really don't know. You have to experience something to understand it in the paranormal field, because even when you experience it, you don't understand it. Mm-hmm. When I look back at the cases that I worked, like cold murder cases and things like that, I didn't realize there were attachments on these murderers that I was channeling to get answers. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do that now. I look back and I'm like, what were you doing? Like, seriously, what were you doing?
Wayne speaks out.
I don't even recall that one. When did we do the Ouija board? You know what my memory is like these days. Mine is just like yours. How did you guys learn about all this?
I got 20 years into making it my job to know.
Yeah.
And that's dealing with a lot of people who basically went through the same experience and bringing things in. I think people associate the experience with, a lot of people have to associate a terrifying experience with something physical. I think a lot of it, even why some mediums use cards when they read, people need to see something physical to believe in it, to touch it. But realistically, your intention or your mindset isn't something you can physically touch. It's easier to say, I used the board, it was in the board, I brought it in the board, it came out of the board, when realistically, the door was opened without the board.
It's coming through
portal.
You.
Yeah.
You
the
are
intention.
that
You
portal.
become the portal.
That's the thing. Now? You're the connection. You're what's allowing it to happen. Think about where your hands are. Think about what you're summoning, conjuring. What did he say? It's in their DNA, I'm sure, after living in the same house.
Wow.
Wait a second now, brother. Wait a second.
Wow. I think it's easier for some of us. He goes, I'll remind you later. I still would like to hear about that.
I like Tamara's comment here. If you're born sensitive, you have the choice, but learn to deal with the paranormal. Dealing with it is a good way of putting it. You do learn to live with the noise. I'm not afraid of things, but I startle so easily, which is so weird. So if something comes at me as a voice, that'll throw me before a vision. It's weird. Maybe it's that physical thing again. Like you're seeing a manifestation and you understand it, or you're seeing it in your third eye and you get it. But when it comes at you from nowhere and no one's home, it's like, ugh, it kind of chills.
It can be pretty frightening for sure.
I don't acknowledge them, though. I can tell you that. I don't carry on a conversation. I know some of you do, but I don't acknowledge it at all. At all. I just ignore it unless it's mimicking my daughter's voice, because of course I respond. And then I realize she's not on the same floor as I am.
Spirits can do that too, though.
Yeah.
Spirits can do that too. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of it, again, comes from, again, the mindset, right? I know which comment you're reading.
I'm laughing at Wayne. Michelle, Queen of the Dark Realm. They came from the toaster.
Yes, I remember that commercial. Just lost the feed from you all. That's
because you're being sassy. Toaster.
I don't know. We see you, Wayne. We see your comments.
Yeah. I don't
Maybe
know.
just reboot.
Tamara agrees with me. I don't acknowledge it either. That acknowledgement is power. Michelle says that all the time, and it's really important not to even if it's a spirit, like a human spirit. No,
Melissa had an experience with a toaster catching on fire when it wasn't plugged in.
Oh no!
Spirit issue. Yes, that's why he says no toasters.
Oh no. Yes. You can just get yourself a gas stove. You can always put the bread in the oven or on the flame.
Did that happen after Romania, Mel? Was that around after Romania, or was that like before? I know you hear me.
Yeah, give her a second to answer.
Okay, hold on. There we go.
It's okay. Read it. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh,
I was just down below here.
It's okay. I also obsessively unplugged my toaster now because of that.
And Melissa says it was right after Romania.
See?
So our little friend was about a year after, and it was still going on. Yeah.
Wayne's back. You never left.
No. No, exactly. That's pretty frightening when you think about it. Like, how things can have a very long reach. But do you remember we worked with an individual who, this is Amelia and I.
Okay, I was just going to ask. See, she reads my mind. Seriously. I was just going to say, who are you talking to? Yeah.
Who went to a very haunted location in the US, brought back something from that said location, and 10 years she suffered and started having health conditions, like severe health conditions. Doctors could not explain it. She was essentially dying. So somehow we got notified, and I read through everything, and I'm like, oh, you're taking a chance. There's never any guarantee. It's nothing like that. It's not like waving a magic wand, people. But we assisted her, and it only took really one time with a recheck, and health improved. Doctors couldn't understand it.
That doesn't always happen.
Sent the item back.
Yeah, that doesn't always happen. It happened because she held up her side of it.
That's right.
And that's something that has to be explained.
That's right. Mel, maybe you have to send the toaster to Romania. To the forest.
Find a way of burning it. Cover it with salt like Dean would do. Yeah. And light it on fire in a grave.
But it's just, again, it goes to show there are powers, there's things out there that we do not understand. So, what are you going to do? You go in with a clear mind. When it comes to grounding, you're the one that's putting the intention to ground. Sage,
sometimes it'll give you a little bit of peace and quiet for a couple of days, and then they come back with a vengeance. For me, it doesn't work because I hate the smell of it. It smells like pot to me. I hate the smell of sage, but I eat sage, if that makes sense. But I hate the smell of it, but I use sage a lot. I'm Italian. We do sage and brown butter on pasta and gnocchi. Like, I do love it, but I hate the smell of dried sage burning and the smoke. I can't tell you how much I hack over that.
Sage.
Because some people really need that,
the sage out there. Cleanse your energy.
Yeah, I've done it for friends, and I've done myself outside. So I don't have that in me. But I'm the person that burns the incense, the Palo Santo, which I've shown before in my little urn from the church. Dragon's blood, yes, I use that as well. Yeah, salt, white candles, always white candles.
Yep.
That's one thing I'm really strong about. I never light colored candles, and unless they're like off-white or like natural. I love natural beeswax candles, and I used to make them, and I used to try to get into that whole thing of the decor and having I could never light them, and I could never use them. And it's because, to me, it goes back to, occultism. It's for me, it's that whole thing in my head. It has to be white. Zach, man, the only things I take from paranormal hotspots are memories and maybe cigars. Burn the cigar and leave the cigar there.
A sage cigar.
That's all I'm going to say. Leave the cigar there.
Yeah, maybe it's like a sage cigar.
Might be a good thing to offer the spirit the cigar.
Yeah, good offering. A good cigar for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I think there's just some places you go. When we did the forest, we went in with the full knowledge of what we were getting into. We went in with general information because we didn't want to know too much. We wanted to have the full on experience. And I'll put this up. And with that being said, go ahead.
Remember, the forest took my bracelet after I took the piece of wood. Why'd you take the wood?
We all have wood.
That was terrible, Michelle.
No, pretty much sure I got some from every place I've ever visited.
Listen to yourself.
Want some? All my friends said, bring me back something from the forest. Okay.
Oh, no, it's just the way you said it, because we were bad. Thank you, Adriana. Someone who I can relate to.
Guys.
You never take anything from a haunted location.
It did take her bracelet, though. It's true.
Yeah, I would much rather have my bracelet than a piece of wood. And
don't get me started on that.
I would much rather have my bracelet. Oh, I need to do that next time I go to Gettysburg. See if the presence of a cigar will trigger paranormal activity. I think Gettysburg, you're pretty much guaranteed paranormal experience.
I have mementos. I'll leave that right there.
I think you're pretty much. She has a cannon in her backyard. Adrian, I would do it again. Oops. Yeah. Okay, Brittany.
Though we went in knowing full well what we were up against, what we were coming in. You always go into a location, because in a lot of locations nothing ever really happens.
But I don't suggest seriously for someone for the first time. That wouldn't be the first place you want to start. No experience is not
everybody gets experiences. I've read accounts of people staying there and had a nice little campfire.
But the three of you could handle what was given to you. Some people can't, and you have to be careful. And don't just go investigating a place because it's abandoned. It took us 2 days to find the actual clearing through hiking out.
Because there's two clearings, so we had to get the right one. But no, I agree.
Not
with
a
you.
local.
We could have grabbed a local. Couldn't get one to come with us.
No, but they couldn't just draw you a map or something.
No, you knew where it was, but there's two. There's actually two clearances, and it's you had to figure out which one it was. We had a lot of really back roads that were just really bad roads. Yeah, there are no roads there.
This is my point exactly, Melissa. She said we had each other's backs also, not strangers and not alone. That's what I mean. Like, you can't just go in there with a group of friends. You need to be protected, and you need to know that there's possibilities, not just of nothing happening, but of something really bad happening. We parked on a grassy hill and walked into the thick of the forest. You only live once. I say it turned out okay, except for the poster on fire, your bracelet missing, and those crazy phone calls.
It's not accessible by roads. No, it isn't. And you know
most creepy places aren't.
The funny thing is we were like maybe 3 days behind Ghost Adventures while Mr. Bagans was having a meltdown in the forest with some overwhelming crazy thing that was happening to him and crying. Really? We're napping.
He was there?
Yeah, we were 3 days behind them everywhere.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Oh, I didn't even know he did. See, I don't watch this show, so I didn't know.
It was, again, you have to think to yourself, like, I mean, again, it's his experience. I wasn't there. It can be very, very overwhelming.
Well, maybe those demons didn't play well with his demons.
Maybe. I don't know. But I don't know.
You know.
Best nap of my life, right? You
And
could
again,
lay in there and you could feel things going around you. You knew you were being watched, and you just take it in. And I
I
think
have
that
that
was very
feeling every
helpful
day.
in what was to come.
I feel
know?
like I'm being watched all the time, every single day. I don't
Right.
remember not feeling like I'm being watched. There is an island near Italy where the locals won't even, Peroveglia, even hire you a boat to take you to the island. Inside joke with Michelle.
The way you worded it.
She has told me that she's going to get there, and I'm like, it's against the law. But somebody bought it. It's still against the law because the contamination from all of the bones on that island. Let me just tell you, I've told Michelle this before.
Reagan's was there.
You know how but that was before. And the Italians are really quick and don't go writing me emails because I'm Italian and I know are really quick to take on the media. So, you know, Zach Bagans is a big deal in Italy. His show is a big hit there. But, you know, Peroveglia, instead of saying go to hell, in Italian, they say I'm go to Peroveglia because it was considered hell. And she wants to take a boat ride there. Bring a mask, you'll be fine. Yeah, it's not like that. Sadly, it's
yep.
It's really bad.
Take one for the team at any given time.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the Peroveglia, not for the legal issue, but for me, it's sacred because so many people are there. It's so thick in ash from bones. It's dangerous. You can't walk on it. It's gone too far because they've never taken care of it. And it's so badly contaminated. There's all kinds of illnesses that you could die from just being exposed, your skin, first of all, you can't get to the island unless it's summer. Do you know how hot it is in Italy in the summer? It's like Vegas in Italy in the summer, ocean or not. It's freaking hot. You should be covered head to toe hazmat suit to go on Peroveglia, but you don't even know if you can take a step. It's like stepping in 5 feet of snow, but you don't know it's 5 feet of snow. That's what that ash is like. It's highly dangerous. No, I know you're joking. I know. Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. I know that you are. But you know, like but the first and foremost would be that one because everybody was just dumped off on that island. Yeah, whether they had TB or whether they were orphaned or whatever the society didn't want to deal with, they just dropped off on that island and they perished. And it went on for years and years and years. And that's why my mother used to say to me, if you're bad, I'm going to send you to Peroveglia. And I never knew what she was talking about.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, over here, it's all the asylums, you know, not so much just like throw them on an island. There's like a lot
their bone ashes aren't sitting on the entire island.
Right.
That's the only difference. You can get aerial shots. You can't even get a drone over that island. Like it's so, I don't know what they're protecting.
It was included in one of the shows that I did with Joe. There's a lot of photos out there. A lot.
Yeah.
We included a lot of photos for people to look at. There's quite a bit. Actually.
But I don't know if you could do that now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how old these pictures were, but some of them look pretty recent. So I don't know. I imagine there's a degree. Yeah.
Drones and the new people that own it, they go in with ferries or boats and then they just send a drone up because that they can do. They just can't step foot on it because they don't know the level of contamination and the bacteria that's on there. That's all.
Right.
You know.
But there's a lot of really great haunted locations that you can go to. And you know, you're looking to go to a place that, I mean, I found Romania to be very inexpensive for what it was. Yeah, and when I say for what it was, there's so many locations that you can go to where you would least expect it. Melissa, if you remember the hotel we were staying at when we were in Bran, which is where Bran Castle is, and we were bunkmates. So she was asleep 7:00 in the morning, which is an ungodly time to be woken up. Just
for
saying.
Michelle.
Right? It's like, oh, yeah, I'm in the land of the vampires. Leave me the crap alone. I want to sleep.
Yeah.
But anyway, something was right in my ear and it went Michelle, just like that. I'm just like, you know, and I turn around and I look at Melissa because I'm like, what? And she's so cold.
$24 a night.
Oh yeah, it's cheap there.
Wow, that's a good place. Places I stay at, I leave more than that per day for a tip for the maid.
And these are beautiful
Wow,
places.
that's
It
awesome.
was
I'm sure it
beautiful.
is. It's all
The terrace that
historical.
went all the way around this house, and it
Yeah.
was just beautiful.
The
I
hidden
did not hear because
gems.
you was sleeping, but this is his male voice, just like really loud. It was like,
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's startling. It's startling.
And
it's
it
not
happened again
necessarily
in
scary.
Brasov. We stayed in Brasov. Yeah, we were a kilometer from the castle, which was nice. But Brasov was the same. Something woke me up there. And I'm just look at Melissa. Melissa sleeps like a freight train could go through the room, and Melissa would not wake up.
That's my daughter. You could have the phone right next to her and she doesn't hear it.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. But yet you have these things happen. Okay, I don't want to talk about the garden.
The garden knows.
Everybody knows.
No, tell me, please.
I hate, and I don't know why. I don't fear gnomes. There's just something about the way they look that I don't like. That's all. Their appearance doesn't please me.
They're adorable.
So, yeah, why don't you just go ahead and tell everybody what you do with the stupid gnome? There were gnomes everywhere in Romania. It must have been like the 1 year where
they were on the terrace.
Popular.
She may have brought some at the door. Wow.
You may have. Yeah, open the door and I'm looking at this
really good
friend.
At me. You know she loves you when she's picking on you like that.
What?
There was 100 Michelle was not happy. Well, yeah.
Garden decor.
They're obviously, they're all over Europe.
They were everywhere. Big ones, small ones. I'm like, why do I see gnomes?
They're all over Europe.
Freaking everywhere this year. I've been to Europe before. Only this one place, this
Go
1
to
year.
a small village in Italy. You won't see gnomes. You'll see like the third eye hanging and
there was that too.
The pepper and the corny. Yeah, you'll see that stuff in Italy, but you won't see garden gnomes.
And then everywhere you go, you know, most obscure places you see in the daytime, all over, ladies of the night, working girls. That's what I call them, working girls.
Oh, in Romania, isn't it?
They get dropped off everywhere, dropped off. And Adriana goes, "Oh, those are parachutes." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "They call them parachutes." I'm like, "You call a streetwalker a parachute?" She goes, "Yeah, they just drop them off on country roads." Yeah, you just see them randomly on some country road with nothing around, and they're just.
But Romania, isn't it legal? Like Germany, Berlin, they have red light districts.
Amsterdam, yeah.
I think it's legal.
I don't know, but I thought the term it's not.
Oh, legal. Not legal.
And I found the term to be very. I'm like, what's a parachute? Like,
well, I don't know.
It's
That's
the culture.
A horrible thing.
I love it.
Come to my house and you'll see a skull nailed above the garage doors.
Not one of mine.
Okay.
I take very good care of mine.
The skull is protection. The Mexicans believe that as well. I have a crucifix that one of the listeners, when I was on the show with Bobby, made me this crucifix with different stones, and she put a skull with pink sapphire eyes in it.
Yeah, some of the Jesuit stuff, they were crosses, crucifixes, and they had the skull and crossbones at the bottom of them.
No, this is just a cross, right? A skull that sits right in the center of the cross to honor the dead, right? It keeps the homeless away. Well, your house, period, keeps the homeless away. Parachutes, because great. In Romania, the land of garden gnomes, gypsies, and sex workers. Yeah, that's what's sounding like.
Oh, it gets better. It gets better. It keeps
the homeless away.
Terrible.
Yeah. It apparently keeps the Amazon guy away too.
Oh my gosh. All I know is that there's for anybody, because I think probably the excursions of all these places that we've gone, people ask about Romania the most because it is a mysterious place. And then it is beautiful. It's right. It is beautiful. Romania is probably one of my most favorite places ever. It's very near and dear to me. But while the girls were over, of course, we, because Adriana and I, of course, and my son were in Scotland, and we were in the south of France a few years ago. And I said to her, I said, 2 years after, I've been there, so I decided to look through my pictures. Why? I don't know why it took me so long, but I'm looking through pictures and I found all kinds of, stuff. Some of it's pareidolia, of course. Some of it's like darn freaking heck, it's something. And then, of course, in one shot, there's a gray alien in the window for real. So I show it to her. She's like, what? That's like, yeah.
You wonder why some things you don't notice till later. I like what Wayne wrote. In England, they call the streetwalkers the ladies that raffle their donut.
A blitz slang. Oh my word!
We're gonna have to use that with the relic hunters next time. Ask them if they know what those are.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Maybe not on air.
Wow.
That is funny. Oh my gosh. But, so is it just England they say that? I wonder if they say that in Cornwall. I have to bug someone. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I don't know. I think if anybody's had some like paranormal experiences in other countries, or just throw it in chat, and we can talk about it, because we're just kind of like,
Hamilton would possibly Hamilton would possibly I feel bad.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that one right alone.
But I'm not touching that one. I've heard a few stories from him, so I'm not touching that one. I was just like, I've got three brothers,
and that's show, so we should get back on track.
I know. I've got three brothers, and I was in shock with some of those stories. But anyways,
yeah.
But, so
yeah. But I think the more history you have, the older of a place that you have. For example, this side of the world, it's not that we're not haunted. We don't have the same. The intensity isn't the same. Any place that I've traveled overseas, it's just been completely different than anywhere here. Hold on.
Not super paranormal, but amazingly spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
calming, and full of energy. Stonehenge with Mel, it was life-changing, I would imagine. Yeah,
it's absolutely. Also a power spot.
Yeah.
So you're going to feel that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I'm saying your name right. Is it normal for one to be afraid of these things? Can they hurt you? Are you referring to the gnomes or what?
The gnomes. So yes,
you. They're garden statues.
Yes and yes. It's quite normal to fear things that you do not see. Let's face it, something comes after you or comes out of nowhere. You're hearing things that are going on. It's going to be unnerving. Something touches you, it's going to be unnerving. Mind you, I say that. When we were doing events at Casa Loma in Toronto, I had my son there with me. He was doing co-op that year, and I said, okay, you can do co-op with me, no problem. So something touched him, and he just stood there looking at me. Coughing fit, sorry. And I go, you okay? He said, something touched me. And I said, how do you feel about it?
She needs a minute, because you're probably dry too, and her quaaludes. Oh my gosh.
Taking in too much air. I said, how do you feel about it? And he looked at me with a straight face and went, I'm okay.
It's different when something reaches out. Yeah, that's good that he wasn't startled. I don't know why. Like you said, the physical, the seeing and the touching, it's all right. But the voice is out of nowhere. Like, what? It's just when you can't see it, right? It's
throw things at you too.
Yeah,
there was something in that tunnel, or someone, spiritual, that would throw stones at people, and it was just like
Waverly Hills,
hit them and stuff.
Yeah, the Death Tunnel. They get a ton of activity there, and you can see a lot of it in the Death Tunnel. You know what's really haunted, and people, maybe I shouldn't be saying this. Because I'm thinking it's a hospital in Toronto. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it, because it is open. They are using the hospital. It's not abandoned or closed. So I'm not going to say which one, Sunnybrook, but I'm not going to say which one. It is majorly haunted. I remember taking my dad there. Even when I say his name, sorry, but I taking my dad there, he had skin cancer that he had to have removed, and he had several tests there. And I remember taking him, and as I was approaching, and I had been there when I was younger visiting someone, but I hadn't been there fully. You know what I mean? Like with all my senses open. And I remember before approaching it, how heavy everything felt. And I still had several kilometers to get there. I'm watching this GPS and I'm like, what the hell? Is something going on here? We're downtown like downtown is heavy to begin with, downtown Toronto. But going in the hospital, holy crap. It was nonstop. I had to bounce everything off. It was nonstop. It is severely haunted. I looked it up. They use that for TB, just like Waverly Hills. And they did have orphans in there, and they did have psychotic. It was an asylum. Yeah. And I
researched in old asylums and old hospitals.
Yeah.
Just terrible energy.
Also, these happenings, can they cause deja vu?
And then Wayne adds,
I always thought the deja vu was something that happened to someone who is previous life had their life ended.
I'm guessing.
Ended, yes, prematurely. It's as though you had to come back and live the life you were meant to. Very cool.
Well, I think with deja vu is also it could be different things. There's a belief that we live our lives simultaneously.
That's what it feels like.
Dimensionally, that we are experiencing things in other places. There's a belief that, of course, we travel when we sleep. And if that's the case, then it would be, if you are traveling and then you see it in real time, you go to a location, it's like, I'm having a deja vu because you were there before. Maybe you were there in a past life. Maybe you were there the night before. Maybe it could be like imprints. It's really hard to
the second half of Wayne. That's why deja vu happens hot and heavy when you're young. Okay, Michelle. You're young, but then you get to a certain age and it all seems to stop. It's like once you reach the age you're checked out, you start living over. I hope that's true because I still have them really. And Michelle knows, I've told her, I have them so bad sometimes that I'm nauseous when it happens, which leads me to believe it's interdimensional, like it's multidimensional. Like not interdimensional, sorry, multidimensional, because of how sick I feel when I'm reliving that moment. I'm like, what the hell? It's like a blip for me, when a video just sort of, and then it straightens out. That's what deja vu feels like for me. And I get like really nauseous from it. But deja vu is so prominent in my life. It's constant. I think I can name off more days I haven't had it than days that, like, I can count the days I haven't had it and can't count high enough to how many times I've had it.
That's crazy.
It's severe. But I wonder sometimes if it's because of remote viewing.
That could very well be.
I think so, because you're in and out. Amita said, because it's happened several times when I was younger. It was like I left my body and came back in it to the point I almost passed out. That sounds like you are leaving your body.
Yeah, it sounds like out of body experiences.
Deja vu is reliving a moment and knowing that you've already seen this or done this.
It can be really, this. It can be really frightening, leaving your body, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of theories that go along with that. Some people believe you can do it quite safely. Some people believe that some people believe that you have to be careful because you have like an astral cord, and like I was always taught by this one aunt, you need to be careful because something will cut your astral cord and you won't be able to return to your body. But there is a theory that things can step in. When you hear experiences from people who have been in comas, for example, and like sometimes they're maybe in a coma for a week, a few days. Some people have been in a coma for months and years, and all of a sudden they come out of it and they have no idea who their family is, who they are. and people will say, oh, well, they've been gone for a really long time. But it's happened to people who may have been in a coma for just, a few days, or maybe they're in an induced coma because of an injury. Something else steps in.
You have to worry
Their spirit can't get back in, because the spirit just does not sit in the body that's laying dormant day after day after day, nor does it do so when you go to sleep at night. It would be like sleeping in your car in the garage every night. It doesn't make any sense. You can leave the physical when the body itself is at rest. So I don't know, like when you think of like these theories, I'd be terrified to go freaking go to bed at night. Like what? Think about it.
I'm going to do a quick station ID before we continue.
Okay.
There's a whole thing about tethers. You're listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano. Tonight's show is a roundtable discussion, and our guests are the chat room. They're picking the topics, and we're having a blast. We are live from the gorgeous city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio, United Public Radio, streaming on YouTube, UFO Paranormal, International Public Radio, UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials, as well as all of our Facebook group pages, especially Canada's Most Haunted, and of course ours, The Outer Realm. Please join us if you're listening on there. Please give us a like on our group pages. A huge thanks to award-winning composer Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, aka Justin Snicker, for our fabulous intro and outro. You can purchase this music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and you can hear him on the platforms that you stream. Find Justin on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And a massive thank you. I can't reach my cup. I forgot it behind me, but you can see it over my shoulder on my desk, and Michelle's holding it. Massive thank you to Folgers Coffee. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup, but it's also a great way to wind down. Thank you, Folgers, for all of your support and making sure that we're here on air right now. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. They are number one.
Yes, they are.
But yes, so okay, so anybody have any really creepy okay, Adrienne, I would say creepy stories. I want to hear creepy stories, but Adrienne's got a question.
Guys, teach us about shadows and how to keep negative energies away doing day-to-day things.
Grounding. Pretty sure I sent you that.
I think sometimes we forget. I know we've shared, Michelle has an amazing grounding technique, and we've shared it with people, and sometimes they have it and they forget to use it. But it's not just a once a day thing. Like people meditate morning and night, or maybe just morning or just at night. It's something that what I believe is when it comes to your mind, first of all, you should try to get it down once a day at least. But when you think of it, if you're reminded by it or the word grounding comes in, to me, that means you're being told you need to ground. It's something that's looking out for you there, and it's letting you know, protect yourself. So grounding is fantastic, especially if you have anxiety. It really helps with that. Even if you're not into the paranormal, it helps with anxiety, helps with depression. It helps being in crowds. If you have that kind of phobia, like I get really anxious if there's too many people. Grounding is being a tree. That's true. It's definitely different for everyone. How about the time I woke up with a dark being in my room and I couldn't breathe? And I tried to ring my bestie Wayne. Uh-oh.
Said bestie. Yeah, Wayne, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah.
I believe his experience was on Paranormal Survivor. Was it season 2 or 3? No, season 3. And they covered that story a little bit embellished. But again, it would have been really, oh, you don't want to go ahead. Okay, whatever. It was really unnerving. He was in bed and he woke up, or were you just going to bed and you noticed? I think he was just going to bed and he noticed that he was being held down and he couldn't get up, and he looked up I'm going to like speed through the whole without all the details. We can bring him on the show sometime and he can talk about that and what it's like to live here.
It's been a while. Yeah.
But he saw these big red eyes that looked like almost the size of melons. And he finally got himself to the point where he could get up and he just yelled out, like, go away, get out of here. And he tried to, and of course, the cat's freaking out, the whole 9 yards. So that was a validation to him. When you have an animal that freaks out, something's going on. So he tried to call me that night. He tried to text me that night. My phone did not ring. The text messages did not come through until morning. And I saw all of these texts and I saw that the phone had rang. And of course, I called right away and I'm like, what is going on? And he basically just goes, something that was in the house.
And he felt very alone and frightened. Yeah.
He did.
It happens sometimes.
So I came over and
interfere.
did a clearing, of course.
Yeah. They interfere with you trying to get assistance. We even see that a lot in stories
even now.
Of hauntings and that are being put in films, without giving away all the names of everything, because I'll be here all night. But we do see that where often in the classic, which I will say the classic Amityville, when she's trying to contact the priest, she is asking him why he wasn't there, and the line cut went dead. And that's happened to a lot of people that have had oppression and possession. Sucks, man. Says, a few nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night to my bed shaking, told whoever was doing it to stop. After that, my cat buddy Peanut jumped on the bed and the shaking stopped. Dark spirits are known to be afraid of cats. That's
true.
Hi, Mama Polly. Mwah. I love her. I was wondering where you were.
Oh, Polly.
I love her.
Yeah, there is a belief that some darker energies are afraid of cats. But I mean, in Wayne's case, the cat's like, and at that point,
I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, he's like, something's going down. Even the cat is freaking out.
Well, if it's making the cat, yeah.
Well, people always ask, what to look for when things are going on. One of the first things I ask them, do you have a pet?
Aww.
Follow their lead. That's the way it goes. Follow their lead.
Trying to behave. Gross.
That's sarcasm. So,
I love you.
Believe me.
I can't wait to see you. Yeah.
But for sure, animals are really perceptive. It was intense. Like
I would imagine so, for you to be afraid, to have that kind of chill. And that's what people don't get when they're seeking it, is how intense it can get and how dangerous. It's important to know that before you go looking. Like, I don't, other than the few places that I went to with Michelle, because we started working together right before all this crap happened, I've never gone looking for it. It's always happened to me where I just happen to be in a haunted place and I don't know until I'm there. And then I'm like, wait a minute, like, this is just, or I'll have hesitation to go somewhere and I back out of plans and then find out after that something had happened. But, when you're looking for it, just like she said earlier, I think it was Tamara who said, be careful what you look for, what you ask for.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous, and abandoned buildings can be dangerous physically. You can fall through floorboards and you can fall. They're dilapidated. They're horrible condition. You shouldn't be in there with a flashlight.
But it doesn't mean it's haunted just because it is abandoned.
No.
I'll tell you, if you guys remember,
just means somebody didn't pay the bills.
There was a segment
Thank you, Tamara,
that we did on haunted case files with an ex-colleague of mine, and it was a haunted building on an island. It was a really old lodge. It was up in northern Ontario, cottage country. And I always said this was like the Titanic of lodges. It was just beautiful, but they were building all the way around it. There was a golf course on there, but they just They wanted to restore the building because back in the day, anyone who was anyone, Marilyn Monroe, the Roosevelts, everybody would go there to do pony racing. The island used to belong
It was big here.
to an indigenous family. So there was an old burial ground there. It was fully loaded. It was only 2 stories, beautiful rotunda below, fireplaces that would just would blow your mind, just made of stone, flagstone, and seats would go into them. I'm probably one of the last people to ever really get a lot of photos of it. But as you go through, and if you're not careful, like we were given the option from the owners of the island to walk through it during the day, so we knew where the problem spots were, because there were holes on the whole second floor. And if you didn't watch where you were going, you'd end up on the first. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize these buildings they're abandoned. They're not super safe to be in. And it doesn't mean they're haunted. Even in this situation, it was super haunted. There were things following around all night. You could hear footsteps, but it was easy to let your imagination just run wild. And of course, a lot of things got embellished again. And the real experience was crazier than what you saw on television.
It always is, though.
It always is. Yeah. But just because someplace is abandoned, it doesn't mean it's haunted.
No, and I get worried because especially out where I live, you see how many abandoned barns and places are out here, right? When you're driving through the country roads. And when I hear of people like one of my BFFs, my bestie, Eric, when I hear about him wanting to go to these places and he wants to do this alone, I'm like, if you fall through, buddy, no one's there to help you.
You really tough.
And if you're going to do an abandoned place, I do suggest if you're that stubborn, do it during the day. Don't go into an abandoned building that you don't know where the holes are in the floor with a little flashlight on your phone. I mean, come on.
I mean, we were on this island. There was nobody else. We got brought there on a boat and picked up from a boat.
Stuck there. Tamara said, went to a fort in New York and had a spirit run through me. A little shocking, and it ruined my camera. Wow, what did it do to your camera? I've had spirits run through me, and that is not fun. That is not fun. My girlfriend who is psychic, she had an orchard, an apple orchard, very, very old. Right now, it'd probably be about 200 years old. And in the farmhouse, a little girl had died in the well. So the first time I was going to her home, I didn't even know. And I'm going through the extension part that she built. And then I walk into, and I could physically feel without even looking that I'm walking into a whole other era. And as she takes me upstairs, I fell over and held the steps, and I couldn't breathe because I said to her, and I didn't know at the time, I said to her, you've got a little girl running through here. She just ran right through me, almost knocked me off my feet. Because you could hear, and she's through me. And I'm like, what the hell? And she's got all kinds of evidence. Like she would just play with a grocery bag, put it up like a balloon, and you would just see the grocery bag. She left toys up there for her in the attic because this was her room. Not the attic, but the other floor of this very, very old little farmhouse that she kept when she built the extension. So she kept a baby monitor up there. Now she's aware of what she's seeing. She knows she's gifted. So it's a different story. She kept this spirit happy. And then eventually I crossed her over when I understood and knew how. But, you can read about her in the newspaper too.
Very cool.
Hi, there is a haunted place all over the world. Yes, there is, Freddie. You got that Freddie.
Right. Absolutely. I don't think there's ever been one place I have been to where I have not encountered energy or, spirits of some sort. I mean, I always say there's a whole other world that we share space with. We're just not fully aware of it. This is a good story by Wayne.
Sword neck. Wayne says, I was at an old fort, and when a photo was trying to be taken of the officers' quarters, the camera was knocked out of the photographer's hands. The name of the long lens was Canon.
So they might have thought it was a Canon and slapped it.
he continued, I'm thinking the office didn't like the idea. Oh, the officer didn't like the idea of being shot with a can. It would be something
if you could
familiar to
read,
him
you see
that way.
cannon, it's like
he's not going to understand the lens.
But it goes to show, the perception, like what we wouldn't think twice about it. But for them, it's a word, but it's an association, and nothing ever good comes out of it, right?
Oh, Tamara worked on a farm where a child died in a fire, and you would hear and see the small child quite often. There is
that's sad. That's sad.
An old building nearby, which is I believe some type of farm right now. I don't know if it's still open. It's been 3 years since I've driven anywhere, but anyways, and every time I would drive by it, I would hear children screaming, and I could see flames, and I would see like a minister on the grass, and teachers and nuns around, like with these children. And what I understood it to be was like an orphanage. And I always thought it was just in my imagination. And then speaking to one of the parents on parent council, who's third generation in this area, I was told that it was, and it burned down.
Wow.
And it's funny because I have to drive by it well, now I don't because my daughter drives, but I used to have to drive by it to get her to her best friend's house all the time. And I would always like right before, get that, because to hear that screaming, and to see those hands on the glass,
it's
and
hard.
Kids playing Ring Around the Rosie, and they've passed. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to see, but I know that they're not stuck. It's just I'm seeing that residual going on and hearing
imprint.
It.
Yeah.
Yes, and hearing it because it was so intense.
Mm-hmm.
They were closed in; they couldn't get out, and you're hearing that screaming. That's. Oh, really you have to be a monster to not feel for that. You don't have to be a mom. You just have to be a monster to not be, really devastated by that kind of sound.
I think when you make a decision to go and research the paranormal and research ghosts, you're looking for something, my gosh, you have to be compassionate. Because a lot of times, now don't get me wrong, you're going to hit some places where the spirits are happy, they're content. You might have a place where, much like this one, where the spirit is fully ascended, just loves it here and prefers to spend her time here, which is more than A-okay.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of families through the years who made the decision to coexist with their spirit people. And I'll tell you, they've worked so well together that when someone was trying to come into the house and the owner wasn't there, the door handle would go, something hit it and it would fly. It flew right out of the door. So you couldn't get in. There have been accounts where spirits have woken up the living because there was a fire. There have been accounts where, they've alarmed them of other intruders. There's all kinds of amazing stories, but to go in to a location to research for just evidence, or as close to evidence as can be, considering this is the field of the paranormal. So what exactly is deemed proper evidence that's indisputable? I mean, there is some stuff out there for sure. But where does the integrity go? Do you try to see if a spirit wants to move on? There are people who don't believe. It's like, leave them be. There are some people who don't even try because they don't even care, because it's all about this evidence.
Yeah. And some just don't know how.
Absolutely.
It isn't as easy as you would think. It's not just go to the light. You have to sometimes bring them over. There's different ways, but yeah, we believe that you should cross always.
You should always ask anyway.
Yeah.
And just see if it's an option,
Some of them don't realize that they can. Some of them, however they live their life and their upbringing and their religion, may feel that they're not worthy of crossing. And it's important to explain that they are. I mean, even if they're Christian spirits, they're taught that God forgives and loves all. So, yeah.
And again, this is just our personal view on things.
Yes.
There are people who this is how they make their living. They have a haunted location and this is how they make their living. I can appreciate whatever anybody has to do. It's just, this is also a haunted place. People used to come here and stay. And the spirits were we would always make it clear. You're having company. If you wish to mingle and partake, that's up to you. If not, that's up to you too. And nasty spirits were not allowed to remain. It's that simple. It's cleared of that. Good spirits are not stuck here. They come, they go. If they love it there that much, they can come back without the hardship, without the baggage, without the fears.
That's the misunderstanding.
Take it away from them,
Yeah, the spirits don't realize that they can come back. They think that they're waiting on. Sometimes they're just waiting to communicate. So you have to find out what it is, why they're being held back, and assist them from there. If you can't, find someone who can. Email
Absolutely.
us. We'll do it. Wayne says, can you discuss the connection with some aliens and hauntings? That sometimes in areas that are haunted are also areas where aliens have been reported.
Yeah, I encountered that many, many times, actually. I would say in my couple of decades of doing this, at least half of the locations to which I worked at also had sightings of extraterrestrials. So I think it goes back a little bit maybe to what we were talking about even with Ryan last night, that, he didn't even think there were actually ghosts. He believed everything was extraterrestrial.
That's the first time I've heard that, but it's interesting.
Yeah. It's an interesting theory.
Always interesting. Yeah.
And you got Joe's theories, spirits being dimensional bleed-throughs.
We hear that a lot. That's why we laugh at that. We're not laughing at the idea. It's just he says that a lot.
No, it's true. It's true. I definitely feel if there's a portal on site that, spirits can use it as easily as ETs can use it. Alleged, demonics, cryptids, anything can come through these portals. Cryptids, I believe, and again, we've spoken about this, are very possibly, are they extraterrestrial? Some believe so. Some believe that it is dimensional or interdimensional. And again, I'll use the Loch Ness Monster just for an example. They have checked this loch many, many times. And experts and scientists all agree that a large being such as a plateosaur, which they believe is in the water, could not sustain itself. There's not enough food. There's not enough anything.
Well, think about how much they have to eat. Like blue whales, how many pounds of fish they have to eat a day. Exactly. They would have to be way out in the ocean for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you bear that in mind, that the sightings of this animal has been going on for decades and decades. You have to think, okay, is everybody wrong? Or maybe, just maybe, they're coming in through a portal and leaving through a portal. Let's look at Bigfoot. Some people believe they are also interdimensional extraterrestrials that use portals because there'll be an eyewitness. They'll say it was there 1 minute and then just gone, and they went around the area and there was nothing. So they're either dropping down into a cave system through these areas that nobody knows, but they, of course, would know. And our forests are vast. There's a lot of thick, dense forests. But I don't know. I think the portal theory definitely stands. You have these large, pterodactyl. They're saying some thunderbirds look like pterodactyls. Okay, so now we're dealing with prehistoric beings here that are resurfacing. Are they coming through portals in the sky and disappearing? Because we just cannot seem to find them anywhere.
Adrienne asked, are we able to travel through the same portals? What is the explanation, or what is known?
I think so. There are a lot of reports from people who claim to have worked with governments and military on different programs that have gone through portals, stargates, for example. So I just want to put that up there. Stargates, for example. Then you're getting into time slips. There have been, again, stories of people who walk into a house and walk towards the back of the house, and they're in a completely different time with different people. So there's, that could be in a show in itself. Joe and I did one whole segment for 2 hours on the Gray Zone, talking about time slips and portals and vortices.
Oh, it's so
and things like
interesting.
that.
Yeah.
It is so it is really
you
interesting.
Start to realize Wainwright's Bigfoot, Wookiees. I thought that said something else, but I'm not going to say it out loud. Coincidence, methinks not. Thought the K was a different letter because I'm wearing glasses to read and I'm still struggling. National parks are supposed to have portals. 411 stories are related. I heard that too, Tamara. I think he mentioned it yesterday as well.
He did, but he
said there's underground alien bases. He claims that all the national parks.
Yeah, he said the tall whites are responsible for that too. So I don't know, because if they're living underground, like the Hopi thinks, like they have these beings that live under the earth. And I think maybe we're getting to a whole Middle Earth thing. How many of you guys believe that Middle Earth is a thing? Because there'll be a segment coming up on Gray Zone about that too. Yeah, right? Yeah.
I do agree. Too. I don't think we're just living on the surface. It's just too big.
I agree.
I've always felt that though. I have my biggest confusion is with Mothman, because I think it's something, and then we have an expert on, or I guess that turns me the other way. Like first I thought, oh, this is like an omen. Then I thought, oh, this is like some sort of cryptid. Then I'm like, wait a minute, is it alien? Like it's just like because he's seen all over the world. It's not just Pennsylvania. It's not just in the States. It's like, oh my gosh. And I am so fascinated by him or her or it. I'm just fascinated by the Mothman. That's one of the things that I can't watch enough of or hear enough of. Butterfly effects is another thing with me. Oh my gosh.
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect, I think sometimes
timelines
can
crossing.
Be explained when it comes to the Bible and stuff like that. It can be explained by printers, publishers.
Timelines crossing apparently are a really big theory for Mandela effect.
Yeah,
there's just so much out there that we can't even pretend to understand, because you can have one topic with like 5 theories for every out there sort of topic. But I like the Middle Earth thing. There's a lot of stories of people going cave diving and things like that, and seeing beings down there that are like horrifying. And then yet we've had guests who have come on and said that they've been in contact with people who have gone hiking and going through tunnel systems inside of a mountain and going through a portal and ending up someplace completely beautiful. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember it. I'm like, what? Yeah, that's really cool. I want to walk through that.
I know, right?
I want to do that hike.
I know.
It's insane, but science will argue against the cave thing when you're going underground, not through a mountain. Yeah. They will argue that the gases underneath the earth, because they can't, come to the surface and they can't thin out. They're so extreme that you think you're seeing because it's what you want to see. So there's always somebody saying nay. Tamara, Grand Canyon has stories of portals to Middle Earth. Yes,
that's true.
Yes,
absolutely. So I don't know.
Disney jumped on that bandwagon when they did race to the mountain. What was that? Space Mountain or something? Where you went right through.
I know. I don't know, people. I think that there's a lot of topics here that can be addressed. You could do whole shows on. And I know with Gray Zone, we have actually done a lot of shows on portals, like I said, vortices, stargates, things like that, power spots.
Those I think are fascinating.
It's not uncommon. I mean, the ancients would build their monuments over power spots. They knew where they were. You didn't have things like cell phone and satellites that could interfere with the energies or the ley lines and confuse, frequencies and things like that. The ancients seem to know where these places were, and they built over them, and the church would come over when that was done and build their own monuments over it. I don't think that's all coincidence.
Notice none of their structures are crooked.
Right.
And when you see the ancient, when they dig up these ancient villages and these cities, you see subdivisions, like our subdivisions. I gotta stop with these air quotes. I don't know what the hell I watched that latched onto me with that. You see the subdivisions, and you can see, you look at old Rome, you look at old Tuscany, you can see straight through. Paris is like that. You can see straight through these old antique buildings, and you're like, how did they do that? They didn't have what we have nowadays, and they can't build a good road right now. I don't know if you've seen that meme.
True.
The engineers came in, and we have potholes like crazy where I live. I mean, we're known as the worst city in Canada for potholes. And I can't tell, my daughter's taken out 2 tires in front of my house from the potholes. Australia, glasses would be a good idea, Tamara, sorry. Australian natives can see the energy lines when they go on a walkabout. That is really cool.
That's true. There are some people who actually can. They themselves are almost like dowsing rods. They can feel where everything is. I just think now with our environmental interference with technology, this is something that doesn't happen easily anymore. And I truly think that there's beings out there that we do share space with, and as we infringe on their space, you're going to start seeing more. It really is that simple. We do not take care of this planet, and there are other beings here who have been here long before us and who would probably give anything to be here. We have a really amazing planet. It has everything we need to sustain life, and it has done so time after time after time. It has purged itself time after time after time. Yet we just don't seem to get it. So,
somebody needs to remind Putin.
We're going to leave that right there. And I am going to come in and do our good night, because it really is that time. And you guys have just been awesome. As always, I love doing these roundtable discussions and Q&As, because it's just that much more fun with you guys. We never know what's going to come out of you guys. So it just keeps it really sort of like improv-ish. But we have come to the end of another segment. Thank you guys all for being in chat. You guys just make it that much more fun. Again, a huge thank you to Folgers Coffee, who have just made this all possible. And okay, whatever with the gnomes. We can do without the gnomes. We're good with no gnomes. All right. We're going to leave that there. And big thank you to Dr. Justin Snicker, for your contribution of our intro and outro. Remember to stop by the UFO Paranormal Radio on YouTube, and not just subscribe, but get a membership and see what all the buzz is about, because there is a lot of stuff coming. Gray Zone can only be found on the members page. It was created to only be for members only. So that's the only place you're going to find it. If you're looking to be on the show, or somebody like you see on the show, just kick the gnomes. We could kick the gnomes. See, I'm paying attention while I'm reading. But contact us. The only place you're going to get a response really is the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. The Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Now, next week, one of my personal, I've been looking forward to actually announcing this. Wednesday evening, we have the absolute pleasure. Okay. And I'm going to say this because all of you who really know me know that I am a really huge activist when it comes to the earth, the planet, the oceans. It is a passion. We have to save it. So, absolute pleasure welcoming for the very first time Captain Paul Watson, founder of the Sea Shepherd. That's right. And co-founder of Greenpeace. So all of you guys who remember the TV show Whale Wars, and every country pretty much has a Sea Shepherd. organization now. Well, Captain Paul Watson is going to, he graciously accepted our invitation. I cannot wait to have this man on, and so we could get to know him better. He really is wonderful. And he's Canadian. Woo! Yes, he's from New Brunswick. That makes it that much more exciting. Thursday evening, we welcome for the first time M.G. Stevens, the author of The Boogeyman Chronicles. So we're going to go back to a little bit of paranormal roots right there. Saturday, don't forget to tune into Joe and I in the Gray Zone Uncensored, 5 to 7 p.m. Central, 6 to 8 Eastern. I promise, as always, it's going to be a fantastic segment, as always. So please, I know, right? Tune in, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. Y'all behave. Hopefully I'll be back up to my old self.
I hope so.
Love you guys. Night night.
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.